All right, well, it's Monday, which means it is time to recap the week that the Blue Jackets have had. It was, the Canadian road trip, which now Western Canadian road trip that now includes Seattle once the Kraken were into the league. So we'll get right into it. It was last Monday that the Blue Jackets played against the Calgary Flames. I don't know about for you guys, but for me, it feels like way longer than just a week ago that happened. They lose in overtime 4-3. Obviously, the big storyline with this one is Johnny Gaudreau's return to Calgary and his former team and the Saddle Dome. The Flames fans were rowdy as expected, although they did cheer during Johnny Gaudreau's video tribute, which I thought was nice. But aside from that, they did the thing that everyone thought they would do, and that for a big star leaving one team and coming back, they probably did what you objectively should do, which is to boo the guy that's coming back. Makes the game a lot more fun, especially with the Blue Jackets, where having stakes onto their games isn't really that much of a thing these days. But for me, it was kind of nice to have a game that felt like it mattered a little bit beyond seeing some development, and it did feel like the result of this game was kind of important. It was kind of for the Blue Jackets, kind of like get one for Johnny in his old stomping grounds. Corpy was great in net all game, definitely keeping it close in the early going, where it seemed like Johnny Gaudreau was the only notable skater for the Blue Jackets in the first period. He did draw a penalty shot that he missed, much to the delight of the Flames fans. It looked like it was going to be a dud for the Blue Jackets once Columbus went down 2-0 early in the second, but then the power play started playing. They scored 2 goals in the span of a minute in the second period. So power play goals haven't been a thing for the Blue Jackets, and the second period has also been pretty torturous for them, but the two of them combined for some unexpected success for the Blue Jackets, and they were able to tie this game up and really give this game some new life. It was Marchenko and Laine with power play goals there. The Blue Jackets did go down 3-2 after the second period, but Boone Jenner with the answer in the third. So on to overtime we would go, and it would be Dylan Dubé with the overtime winning goal after Laine and Gaudreau were pretty much hauled down. The officiating sucked for both teams for most of the game. It was not a very well officiated game, and sometimes when it comes down to that close, sometimes you're just going to get kind of hosed by a bad call. But again, it's not really worth getting too mad over, because the officiating did do a decent job of making sure everybody left with calls that they could be unhappy about. Disappointing result for the Blue Jackets, but again, like I mentioned just a little bit earlier, it was nice to actually be invested in the outcome of a game, to have it feel like it mattered, at least for Blue Jackets fans anyways. And then we go to Wednesday, still in Alberta against the Oilers. They did win this one in overtime 3-2. Another competitive game. Once again, a lot of it having to do with Korpisalo and his tremendous play. Him returning to form has been a nice surprise for the Blue Jackets this season. One of the only nice surprises the Blue Jackets have had this season, really. Boone Jenner getting the only goal in the first period off of a deflected shot off of a face-off win. Kind of against the grain of play. I thought the Oilers kind of had a bit of a better first period than the Blue Jackets did, but the Blue Jackets leading when it mattered. But the bad second period results would return as the Oilers got 2 goals, but Kirill Marchenko tying it in the third, and Kent Johnson and Johnny Gaudreau having a really nice overtime shift before Kent Johnson would bury the overtime winner past Stuart Skinner. It was a really nice, encouraging win. I know some people are going to, every time the Jackets get points or win a game, there's going to be some people who are going to look at the standings and think that the Jackets, hey, we're supposed to be tanking here, and every win kind of gets us closer to being second to last, not in last place. But I'll take wins like this where the young guys are contributing some. The young guys are contributing. You're pissing off a Canadian fan base in Canada. That's always kind of nice, especially now the Blue Jackets are so bad where if your team loses to the Blue Jackets, it kind of sends the other team's fan base kind of in a panic of like, that was a horrible performance. So that, at least that's kind of entertaining and nice to watch, as maybe the other team can kind of get close to our dumpster fire and we can set them on fire by proxy for a little bit before they get their act together. But it's kind of entertaining to get a win, and I do still kind of want to feel like there is a good hockey team somewhere in here, so getting the occasional win every now and then is nice, especially when you have what's coming up next. Last Friday in Vancouver, they lose 5-2. Nyquist and Blankenberg were out in this one. They were both injured in that Oilers game. I think this game was awful. I don't think the Blue Jackets played that horribly in the first period, but a bounce goal late did put them down 2 after 20 minutes. Although that early shorthanded goal that they allowed in the first period was pretty awful. Laine with a really bad turnover, and then a 2-on-1 that Korpisalo had no chance on. It set the tone in a pretty bad way for the game. And then periods 2 and 3 happened where I thought maybe the Jackets got some bad luck to be down 2 after one period. And then the next 2 periods, yeah, they completely deserved the horrible result that they got. The only good thing in that game was Marchenko getting another goal late on the power play. And for the Canucks, Bo Horvat, who is gearing up to be trade bait, or at the very least, an unrestricted free agent that the Canucks probably won't re-sign. He was able to put up 4 assists in that game. So, good night for him. He boosted his trade value a lot. So, you're welcome, Vancouver. Then you got the Saturday game against Seattle. They lost 3-1. I remember when I made the video where they signed Patrik Laine and traded Bjorkstrand to the Kraken on the same day. I made that video, and I remember feeling bad how we sent Oliver Bjorkstrand to Seattle because it was a much worse situation. And boy, how the turntables have turned as the Kraken are, competing for a playoff spot, looking like they have new life. Matty Beniers has been a godsend for them in his rookie year, and the Blue Jackets have obviously had the season that they've had so far. Adam Boqvist joining the injury parade for the CBJ in this one. It was Jake Christensen who was called up. He looked pretty rough. He's already been sent back down, and Marcus Bjork has come back up. Lane Peterson was acquired through waivers from the Canucks the day of this game, but I don't think he played in this one, however. The Blue Jackets looked like a team that was hurt, and on the second half of back-to-back, they looked pretty miserable. Johnny Gaudreau getting hit in the elbow off of a Gavrikov shot early. He did stay in the game, didn't really miss any time, but he did look to be in discomfort on the bench. That might be something to pay attention to further down the line in the immediate future of the season. Maybe he'll miss the next game or two or something like that, because he did look a little bit uncomfortable. And I know I think him and Boone Jenner missed practice, although Brad Larson said it was more of a maintenance thing. But who knows? Gudbranson and Laine got into a spat after a Kraken goal in the second period. I don't think it's that much of an issue. I think that's just going to happen when one team is going to be frustrated that they're not playing very well and they're tired and their season's going horribly. Elvis Merzlikins, I thought he did pretty well. He was probably the only reason the score doesn't look as bad as it could have been, although I think that goal in the third period that he had wasn't the best goal that he allowed, but again, he made some really nice saves as well to make the score look as respectable as it does. Kent Johnson with a goal in the second period to bring the Jackets within 1, but the Blue Jackets didn't really follow it up with that much momentum or that good play, so Eeli Tolvanen was able to ice the game in the third period. What a waiver pickup he's been for the Seattle Kraken, where there was the Predators putting him on waivers, Seattle claiming him, and then Tolvanen's gone off since then, so good for Seattle. And for the Blue Jackets, this week in general was a bit of a mixed bag. 2 competitive games that went into overtime where the team looked pretty engaged. Korpisalo was great. I thought the defense was a little bit better, but then that was followed up by 2 of more of some all too familiar stinkers and some more injuries to impact players like Gus Nyquist and Nick Blankenberg. And you can throw Adam Boqvist in there too, although his play this season, even when he hasn't been hurt, hasn't been necessarily that great. And as far as the standings go, yeah, the Blue Jackets are still dead last. They still seem on pace to have the best odds at Connor Bedard, which will somehow turn into a 3rd overall pick. So we still have that going for us, I guess. We're still, we're still worst. We're still rolling the tank. The tank still has plenty of gas left in it. Doesn't seem to be needing any required for maintenance anytime soon, especially if guys are going to keep dropping like flies. We have to call up more guys from the AHL. That'll be nice. So that's it. Again, I say those sarcastically. That was not the goal to start this season. Like I just said, even if you do have the best overall odds for Connor Bedard, it doesn't guarantee it. And even if the Blue Jackets get Connor Bedard, I don't necessarily think that he fixes all of the team's problems automatically, but that's for a later date. So thank you all for watching this video. If you made it this far into it, Kirill Marchenko having this weird thing where he keeps scoring goals and not having an assist is probably the only good thing about this week, and we'll see how long that can stay as the season goes along. But besides that, it's been a rough one for the Blue Jackets. I'll see you at the next video.